Hey y'all, it's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and today we've got another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Now we've got lots on the docket. So today we've got the funeral, Twitch's funeral, and the NDA, the issues regarding that. Twitch is Ellen DeGeneres. He was a dancer on her show slash her DJ slash bestie. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss Rachel Lindsay's divorce, as well as this divorce is final, as well as the settlement situation in the verdict in Tiny and Ti, and why it is that the judge wants to reduce the verdict there. So we're going to talk about all those things today on the docket. Wait, let's see. Did I miss anything else? Oh yeah, and there is this strange YouTuber the strange case in Houston of a YouTuber named Corey Pritchett who has been arrested for kidnapping. I think gone on social media and made a bunch of posts. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Hey, y'all, let me see where y'all are viewing us from. All right, we're going to start first with one. We've been covering this one on the channel a bit. We're going to start first with Rachel Lindsay, with a Rachel Lindsay divorce. So let me go ahead and add that up here. So Miss Rachel Lindsay was our first Black bachelorette. And Rachel Lindsay is now officially divorced from her husband that she actually met on The Bachelor, or Bachelorette rather. Now his name is Brian, but I can't pronounce his last name, but Brian is his name. Brian was a chiropractor. And I say was because once they got together and things started going well for her, he also decided he didn't want to break nobody's backs no more or crack nobody else's knuckles. No, he wants to be an influencer and a fitness influencer at that. Except the only problem is nobody cares. Nobody cares. So as a result, he wasn't making money from that. So how does he want to get money now? He was asking that the court order Rachel Lindsay to pay him $20,000 a month in spousal support. The only problem is at the time, they were only married for about 3 years. The divorce is now final after 4 years. But when I count like divorce timelines, I count it based on how long were y'all married before you filed? Because we all know, if you know anybody who's ever filed for divorce, they don't just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm going to go slap down this $10,000 retainer for a lawyer and get divorced. Oh, no. They have been annoyed by you for months, if not years. Years, generally. They've been unhappy for years. They've been complaining for years. And in this instance, basically, he is the one who filed, which is unusual. 80% of divorces are actually initiated and filed by women. 80%. He filed New Year's Eve, I believe it was last year. He filed. So that would have been after about 2 years and some change. Here's what the court has ordered for Rachel Lindsay to pay to him. So we're going to tap. And it's a doozy, y'all. Now, mind you, Rachel's an attorney, or was. She was practicing attorney. Now she is a television personality, et cetera, et cetera. So initially, Rachel was giving him. So what happens is when you file for divorce, you can go for something that's called temporary orders. You can get this whether you have a kid or not. Under the temporary orders, she was paying him $13,000 a month in spousal support. Now, he owned a Miami condo. And I want to be clear about this. Everyone is like, why didn't she get a prenup? Fair question. Especially with her being an attorney. And my guess is that a lot of times people don't get prenups when the two of you have the same amount of assets to start off with. In fact, to start off with, I believe he had more. He owned a home. He had a medical practice, cracking people's knuckles, but still, they're still called doctors. He was a chiropractor. And therefore, I could see how if I'm a lawyer and I'm marrying a doctor and my doctor has a thriving practice and my doctor owns a home and I don't have those assets, my first thought might not be to get a prenup. And especially with them both having been on the same show, they both probably thought, oh, we're going to continue to earn income in similar ways. But no. And part of this is he wanted to become a fitness influencer, as I mentioned. But again, nobody cares. And so he hasn't been profitable with that. He was saying in the divorce filings, he only makes about $1,100 a month. And that was from renting the Miami condo, like after he paid mortgage expenses, etc. All right. So here's what Rachel ended up having to pay. So the settlement was this. It says on Tuesday, January 7th, the couple finalized their divorce. Per the settlement, he's going to retain the Miami condo while she gets to keep their LA home in North Hollywood. I covered this home before. This is a $2.2 million home. The down payment on this home was about $600,000. Guess who paid for that? She did. Her monthly income was about $63,000 a month, and he was claiming that his monthly income was nothing. Now, I thought that was ridiculous because to me, it sounded like he was doing what the law calls intentional underemployment. His only money was the money he was getting from renting his apartment. And I guess he had, maybe he got some influencer deals here and there, but they got knuckles to crack in LA. Now, his claim is that he closed his Miami practice to move to California to support his wife. You better crack some knuckles in LA. Crack them. You can join someone else's practice. And in fact, with you being a national personality now, um, Mr. whatever his name is, Mr. Abasolo, I would think that you could run ads for your back cracking practice. And lots of people who want their backs cracked would say, hey, we're going to go to him. He looks healthy. He looks like he knows what he's doing. But no, he didn't do that. And so therefore, the court found that he had gotten accustomed to the lifestyle that he and Lindsay had. And so again, I said, had to pay him $13,000 just while the divorce is pending. Now, that's some stuff that'll make you say, let's wrap this on up. Now, so he gets the Miami condo. She gets to keep the LA home, which makes sense because he can't afford to maintain it anyway. Both of them will also keep their wedding bands. They each have Breitling watches, which was possibly like a gift that they'd given each other. It's not clear. Lindsay also gets to keep her engagement ring from The Bachelorette because he didn't buy that for her. And she gets a pay to get photos by artist Jad Najar. The couple's vehicles are also going to be split between them. Check this out. He gets the 2021 Honda Accord. Sounds like he's a very modest man. And she gets to keep the 2023 Porsche Macan, probably because he couldn't afford anything else. And it's standard that the woman gets her car, keep her car, and the man gets to keep his car. Now, also, Lindsay is ordered to pay him a $500,000 settlement payment. Now, what that is this. It is a calculation of spousal support because she was like, I'm not about to get this man. I don't want to have to deal with him every month. So it's basically a lump sum settlement that she has to give them. Now, per the settlement, she's going to get credit for the $39,771 that she has already paid this man. That's what she has already paid him monthly during the course of this divorce. And when you add up all the months, and then she's got a lump sum left over of $460,000 she's got to pay him. The first half of the payment, she's got to give him $230,000 by the 17th of the month next week. So I guess if you see him in the club and he's popping bottles, them Lindsay's bottles, them Rachel Lindsay's bottles. While the remaining half has to be paid by next January 7th. So basically, she's going to then get a chance if she wants to break it up monthly or whatever, but it's subject to a 3% interest rate. And he has waived his right to any future support. Hit that like button as you come in. Yes, reality TV marriages have a very low success rate. Kenny Black has a good comment. She said, YouTube has a whole back cracking genre. The man is a bum. I'm very biased when it comes to men getting money from women. By the way, that is a gorgeous avatar picture too, by the way, Kenny. It says, she may not have a home in LA. Now, the LA situation. Speaking of the LA fires, what's really sad about that is just a few months ago, I believe it was in like July, a lot of insurance companies dropped a lot of homeowners. And if you don't have a mortgage, you're not required to keep homeowners insurance. So there are a lot of people whose homes burnt down who are going to be uninsured. So because a lot of companies dropped them or said they're not going to make new policies for people. So if you like miss a payment or your policy gets canceled for some reason, you're screwed. But yes, so that's a summary of Rachel Lindsay's. Now, some people say, wait a minute. If she was a man, y'all wouldn't be up here saying what we're saying. I personally feel like if you're married with no kids and you haven't been married for at least 5 years or more, you shouldn't be allowed to get spousal support. How much are you really accustomed? I want to see extenuating circumstances. Remember when we covered the Tyrese case? And the judge ordered that even though they had a prenup that said that she had been married long enough to receive pursuant to the prenup, whatever the amount lump sum she was entitled to, the judge found that because she had a college degree and was a licensed therapist and had 3 or 4 jobs, she shouldn't be given spousal support. In a situation like this, where someone's a doctor and you've only been married 2 years before filing for divorce, I don't know if $500,000 in spousal support really makes sense. But at the same time, I'm very curious about Rachel Lindsay buying a house during the midst of all of this, because I bet you she had no idea that her marriage was about to end. Most people do not make large investments like that, a $2.2 million house, especially as an attorney, if you think that marriage is about to be over. Generally, buying a home, unless you're in real estate. So I have friends who are in real estate. They buy homes because they want to flip them. They buy fixer-uppers. It's not a biggie. But in this situation, that ain't them. And therefore, it seems to me like she didn't know the marriage was going to end, but it sounds like he had a calculation. Once she bought that house, he said, bingo, I'm about to give her a New Year's surprise. Hit that like button. Interest, yes. They did the same to homeowners, yes, in Florida with respect to homeowners. It says, Casey Johnson said, agreed. If the roles were reversed, nobody would say anything. If you uproot your practice to follow a spouse, you're entitled to some compensation. I would agree. Now, I think her argument is, I never asked him to do that. But I think it's a really fair argument, including people who quit their jobs, people who do a variety of different things. So in the end, whether it was, we just couldn't work it out, or whether it was strategy, this man really came up on top. Now, and I hope, like, jokingly, we kind of talk about him, but I hope he doesn't get beat up. So I would say, like, socially, about getting what under the law was his fair share. This is California law. And with Rachel being a Texas girl, she's from Oak Cliff like me, girl, if you had called me, I say, listen, boo boo, if things are a little rocky. Now, part of it is he filed, not her, right? But if I had seen any indication, baby, the way I would have bought a house in Texas, made that my residence, and then prepared to file in Texas, because Texas does not allow for spousal support if you have been married under 7 years. She could have saved her a clean $500,000. Clean. Ooh, no. But all right. Sure. Okay. So now, before we get to the next topic, Wanda, thanks for asking. I'll go ahead and cover the whole thing with insurance companies are not covering a lot of these homeowners. So what it is it's two things. If you have a mortgage in America, insurance companies have to cover you, but it doesn't mean all of them. So, for example, State Farm is no longer doing homeowners policies in a lot of places. So what happens is, if a company is going to say we're not going to cover it, they have to say that for an entire territory. They can't pick and choose like which people they're going to do. Now, unless you have like a bad record, but effectively what they're doing here is they're saying the cost is too high. Therefore, we're not going to cover people whose homes have burned down, because this is happening too frequently for us to make our money. The other problem that happens, I experienced this. My homeowner's insurance in Houston doubled. It doubled, raising my mortgage substantially because of the storms, even though my house itself has not had a claim. So what happens is they raise the rates as well for everyone. So like right now, if you're trying to buy a house in New Orleans or Houston, good luck, because while you can afford the mortgage and the taxes, those insurance payments are going to get you. And no mortgage company is going to give you a mortgage without you having it. Now, also with respect to the insurance company saying they're not going to cover, one relief that people have is Biden says he is going to make up the difference. In other words, if you don't have insurance to cover your home, there is going to be federal disaster relief to help. Now, to those people, I say you better put your claim in now, because when you know who comes into office, he's probably going to scrap all that. Because what he does, he isn't Trump. What he does is, when he doesn't like you, as in your state or your governor, he makes the people of that state suffer. So I would be not at all surprised if when Trump comes into office, he restricts or denies the relief that's given to those people. And he's going to come into office. What is that? I think that is the 16th of January. God, it's inauguration day is coming quickly. So get that in there. But the gist of insurance companies not covering is what that means is if you presently have insurance, you better make sure that sucker is direct deposited from an account that always has funds. Because if you miss a payment, they cancel your policy, they're not going to renew, they're not going to reopen that policy. And then you are probably going to be limited to maybe one carrier in your state, something along those lines. And then those rates are going to be exponential. All right, here we go. All right, next up on the docket is T.I. and Tiny. T.I. and Tiny. Oh, this is upsetting me. All right, this one upsets me so much. It says a judge wants to cut T.I. and Tiny's $71.4 million win for the LOL surprise doll lawsuit, basically, y'all. And then he wants to cut it down to 17.8 million. This is a federal judge, y'all. This is why plaintiffs specifically, do not like filing suit in federal court, because federal judges do this kind of ish all the time. It takes forever to get your case heard in federal court. It takes years and years and years, versus state is a lot faster. And then they go and they do this foolishness. All right. So basically what the judge is saying here is he does not believe that the toy company had malicious intent. Let me sip my drink on that. Let me show y'all something. Look at this. Look at this. He does not believe these people had malicious intent. Ooh, I'm going to make this bigger. You see, y'all don't even need to see. Look at this. All right, what you've got on the left are the OMG girls, okay? So the first one is Zanique. I don't know who the second two are because it's smaller. The right is the doll that they made. The left is the girl. The right is the doll. The left is the girl and the right is the doll. Y'all, how can that, for me, how can that not be malicious? They're like, we didn't know. We didn't know. Without question, guys, the OMG girls as a group came first. These little Bratz dolls thingy, they've existed, but not in this form. Many people literally thought that those dolls were these girls. And so, mothers of color who were like, oh, I want to get my daughter a brown doll that correlates with this group that they love the music for. We're going out and buying these dolls. Y'all tell me looking at this picture, do you really think this was an accident? So maliciousness is about something that is whether this was intentional and done basically intentionally with the intent to hurt. Yeah, Cassandra D says, MD, copy and paste. And he's just this old crotchety Colonel Sanders looking colonizer. He looks like he thinks corporations do no wrong. Now, mind you, this was the third trial. This was the third trial that they went through, because let's see, there was a mistrial. The first one they lost. I think there was a mistrial. Then in the second, or there was an appellate issue that came up, and then they were awarded an additional trial, and now they won. The difference between 71 million and 17 million is huge, because more than likely, T.I. and Tiny's, this case was not taken on contingency. I can't guarantee it, but more than likely they paid hourly. And the attorneys they have are darn good. Those attorneys are $1,000 an hour attorneys. They easily spent $500,000 to $1 million. No, it was 3 trials. They spent over $1 million. They probably spent $2 million just fighting the case. So to let this toy company walk away with a slap on the wrist, mind you, the toy company has insurance that covers this and will pay the verdict, whatever it is. But chances are, if the judge, so right now, what happened was we got the initial verdict, and then here we go. There's the initial verdict, and then what happened is the federal judge basically does what's called, he does like an advisory opinion. So specifically, what went on there is last year, a jury awarded the couple $71 million after a years-long legal battle. with MGA, that's the toy brand, over the alleged misappropriation of their likeness in the doll line. However, multiple reports now indicate a federal judge is considering cutting the settlement to $17.8 million, basically cutting out the punitive damages component. The judge reportedly cited insufficient evidence to prove that MGA acted in bad faith. Well, a jury found that it was sufficient evidence, so you. The court has not yet made a final ruling on punitive damages, but regardless, they should receive at least $17 million. Listen, let me tell you this. The standard to take away a ruling from a jury is really high. The standard to take away and when a jury says this is what it should be, it's generally really high to take away a jury's verdict. For example, how often do you hear in a criminal case that someone's found guilty of murder or something or some crime, and then the judge says, no, I don't think there's enough evidence? Never, like hardly ever. But for some reason, under the laws of the court, when it comes to punitive damages, those judges like to step in there and take those away. My issue is, y'all want to come in here, y'all, the judges want to come in here and take away punitive damages. But when was the last time that I seen you see a jury verdict and a jury awards a dollar amount and you say, no, that's not enough, somebody deserves more? Never. So keep that same energy. Keep it. Keep it. Purple Rain says another day of the justice system hating Black people. Yeah, the jury already ruled. That's the issue. The jury ruled, and now the federal judge wants to take away the jury's ruling. And Judge, I want to know how many times, and he's a Republican appointee, so this does not surprise me. Judge, I want to know how many times have you done that where a jury's awarded 0, and then you go in there and be like, oh, no, I think there was sufficient evidence. Something should be awarded to these plaintiffs. Never. Can a plaintiff sue a judge for overturning a verdict? No. Oops. Sorry, I don't know what I did there. No, they can't. Judges are immune. In the same way that like police have full immunity, judges. I want to find that. Put that up. Here you go. Hey girl, Black girls getting their shit together. Y'all check out that podcast. It's a phenomenal podcast. I've done an episode on there. But no, that's a great question. You can't sue a judge for anything, pretty much. And here's what's worse. This is a federal judge, which means he has a lifetime appointment, So this is why it's so critical when people say it doesn't matter who's president. The hell it doesn't, because presidents appoint all federal judges. All federal judges are lifetime appointments. All right, let me see these comments. Judges, yep. Nope. Yeah, Casey, you haven't missed Twitch. We're leaving Twitch for last. I'm going to quickly go over the little stupid YouTubers so that we can spend more time on. Oh, thank you, MD, for gifting a membership. I really appreciate that. We're going to go to this stupid YouTuber and we're going to close out on Twitch. Okay. Let me go to this little goofy boy. He on my nerves. All right, here we go. So a Houston YouTuber by the name of Corey Pritchett is accused of fleeing to Dubai after abducting 2 women, taking them on a high-speed car ride, reportedly threatening the women with the pow-pow before ditching them on the side of the highway. Now, because we love receipts over here, I went ahead and I pulled the charging instrument. So this is what he is accused of. This is a public document, so don't get mad at me if you don't like what it says. But the gist of the accusation is that this guy, Corey, he's got like 3 million followers on his YouTube. And he lives here in Houston somewhere. And on his YouTube, he it's like Corey SSG or something is what he calls his channel. And he makes music and people just follow his lifestyle as a musician, although I don't know what the music is. But hey, I'm not his demographic. I could probably be his mama. Hey, Julia. Is this Julia from Dallas? I'm not going to put your business out here, but I also see Julia's asking, can I talk about Jay-Z's lawyer's new motion? You know what? I need to get myself abreast on that. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But basically with this gentleman, y'all, this sounds so crazy. I'm going to read a lot of it to you because after you hear the facts, I want you to tell me if this sounds fishy. To me, the story sounds fishy, but then his YouTube, his social media posts, I believe are what's going to get his butt locked up. So it says, and I'm going to kind of skim through it, but It says, hold on. Okay. The affiant met with both complainants. Okay, so the victims are listed. I won't say their name out loud, but they're here. This is small writing, so this is a public document. So, the victims provided a detailed statement about the incident. And he the what do you call it? The cop is saying he believes him. He said, so speaking with both complainants, those are the victims. The complainant one is what I'll call her, stated that she met the defendant November 22nd, where they exchanged numbers, and she invited him to work out with her and her homegirl at the All in Sports Performance Gym in Houston. Okay. Um, the next day, the 23rd, which the defendant agreed to. The victim one stated that on November 23rd, she met with her homegirl and him and the owner of the gym, his name's Justin Allen, where they worked out at approximately 10 a.m. After the workout, the complainant one, she stated that she and the complainant and Justin were all going bowling that evening. The defendant asked if he could go with them, and they said sure. The defendant invited the victims to come on an ATV outing before going bowling. The victims went back to one of the victims' apartment where they got ready for the ATV outing, and the defendant then picked them up. The complainants complainants and victims are the same thing, y'all. Complainants took a bag with them, which contained several personal belongings, clothes, and makeup. And the defendant arrived to one of the victims' apartments to pick them up. All three individuals go ATV outing to extreme off-roading. When the individuals were done with that, the defendant made the suggestion to have both the victims, change it his Airbnb since they were having a good time together. Here's what's weird. You supposed to be this YouTuber, baby. Why you ain't got no house or apartment? You live in an Airbnb? You got some bad credit, huh, baby? 3.9 million, honey. Somebody call me. I'll get you over there to LNH Capital. They might be able to help you get a flip or fix or something like that. LNH Capital, they can fund you for something if you're making the real YouTube money that I think you should be making with 3.9. That should be about $50,000 a month if you've got 3.9 million followers. Okay. Both victims agreed where they changed clothes with no issues or anything happening while they were there. The defendant then drives the complainants to Bolero, Houston, the bowling alley, where they continue their activities and are met with two male friends of the defendant, which they didn't know. Justin Allen, who they did know, shows up to the bowling alley. The complainants noticed that the defendant and his friends began to act suspicious by constantly looking around and learned that they had an issue with another group that was at the bowling alley. Excuse me. The victims asked the defendant to leave with his friends if he was to continue to act weird. They said, leave, get out of here. Like the victims were like, leave if you're going to be so weird. The defendant then told the victim one that he was going to step out with his friends. At this point, it was the victims and Justin Allen that were still in the bowling alley. The victim one noticed that a lengthy amount of time had passed and the defendant had not returned. So she texted him that he had her and the other girl's belongings were left in his car, and they needed them back. She stated that the defendant responded to have Justin Allen give him a ride to the HEB parking lot, which is nearby, and Justin would provide both of them a ride to that location so they could get their stuff. The defendant then texts victim one that he was at Academy Sports and Outdoors, which was located in the same strip. Justin Allen drops off the girls, and the defendant offers to drop them off at her residence. Now, mind you, they said that they wanted to leave because he was being weird. He was acting weird with his friends, but yet they want to get in his car and let him take him home. Okay. Victim one agrees to have victim two and her both dropped off at her apartment since it's located right behind the shopping strip that they were at. Both victims stated that at this point, they noticed there was a complete change in behavior in the defendant, where he was not the same person as he was earlier in the day. The defendant then explains to both of the victims that he believes somebody is after him and that he's accused of setting someone's car on fire. The defendant begins to drive, which the victims believed they were going to be taken to victim one's apartment. The defendant then drives in the opposite direction of victim one's apartment and is now on the service road of I-10, passing up a particular street where he goes under the overpass. And basically he's going in the opposite direction of where old girl lives. She notices that he's passing up that light. She informs him he's going the wrong way and to take her home. The victim then states she noticed the defendant is making several phone calls to unknown people and responding that he was on the way, as in he's going to wherever these people are instead of to her house. So the victim states she remembers the defendant was now somewhere on Memorial Drive, basically different areas. Okay. The victim stated that the defendant then produces a handgun, is driving at a high rate of speed, produces a handgun that was located between the center console and the front driver's seat, and then begins to wave it out of the roof of the vehicle. Both complainants described the weapon to be a gold pow pow. Complainant one states she then tells him to take her back to her apartment, but he continued to drive in another direction. Both of the victims state they tried to calm the defendant by telling him to pray together, in which he agreed to do so, and leads the prayer, but continues to drive in the wrong direction at a high rate of speed. Victim one stated she noticed they are now passing up Katie Mills, where the defendant then makes a phone call to an unknown female that he saved in his phone as future wife. Where the caller is then put on video chat, but they can't see her face. Okay. This is almost done, y'all. It says then, and it says, see, her face can't be seen on the screen, and they're having a casual conversation. But both the complainant stated where she is, but stated the defendant then asked the female caller if he had the perfect opportunity and was driving in the middle of nowhere and no one could hear them, speaking of both of the victims, and no one could ever find them, should he just go ahead and do it? Both complainants stated that the unknown female responded yes. Both victims stated that they knew at this point the defendant was going to take them in the middle of nowhere and pow pow them. Seeing that he also had a pow pow in his possession. Both stated they feared for their lives. Victim one was sitting in the front seat and victim two was sitting in the rear. My thing is, why y'all aren't texting 911? Y'all know you can text 911. You can literally text 911 and be like, this is what's happening, for the reason of things like this happening. So then it says, defendant was sitting in the rear. Both complainants were on their phones texting each other about the situation, not the popo, each other. Now, they may not have known you could text 911. A lot of people don't know that. The defendant noticed that both of them were on their phones, texting. They both were on their phones. And victim two stated the defendant then snatched her phone, snatched the other girl's phone from her hand, and then looked back at the other victim, pointed a pow pow, and demanded she turn over her weapon, which she did. Victim two stated the defendant then turned off the cellular data on both of their phones and continued to drive at a high rate of speed. All right. My lawyer spidey senses. See, that sounds weird. If he's in the front seat and he's taking your, how do you know he turned off the data? Now, if you say he turned off your phones, totally believable. But that he turned off the data, that sounds kind of weird, but okay. Both victims stated that the defendant then rolled down the front driver's window and shot the pow pow approximately 4 or 5 times out the window. Victim one stated that she then gently taps the defendant on the shoulder. This is what it said. Victim one stated she gently taps the defendant on the shoulder and asked, "Can I sit in the back with my homegirl to comfort her?" Girl, what? Tap, tap, tap. I'm not tapping anyone with a gun who's acting paranoid. No, this sounds crazy. And then it says, this is my mama. God, sorry. And then she asked if she could sit in the back with her homegirl. And then it says that the victim stated the defendant then turned towards her and pointed the pow pow at her, saying, "Stay where you're at." Okay. Then the victim one stated she remembers passing up a restaurant. She's describing what she's passing, what she's seeing. She states she tried to get her phone from the defendant, but was unsuccessful. And sorry. So they're passing up a number of restaurants, and it says both victims stated the defendant pulled over on the side of the road and ordered them out of his car by saying, "This is your only opportunity." Victim one stated she tried to get her phone from the defendant, but was unsuccessful, and the defendant drove off, leaving them on the highway alone at night at approximately 1:18 a.m. This information is based off of a screenshot from victim two's Life 360 app. The victim stated that they continued walking on the side of the highway for about an hour and tried to flag down cars. A driver finally stopped for them, and the victims were able to call 911, and police deputies were able to assist both of the victims. Stated that during the incident in the car while the defendant was speeding down the highway, that he told the both of them, "I'm going to F you, and then I'm going to unalive you." Okay. Both stated that they feared for their lives and they feared for their safety if the defendant learned that they were talking to the police. The victims provided screenshots of locations, one of the victims from the Life 360 app, and the screenshots were provided. Okay. Somebody said that's funny. That's the same ringtone I had from my dad. Oh my, it's a family ringtone. Talking about my ringtone. Say what now? So all of this sounds odd. And the boy sounds like an idiot. Let me show you the Instagram from this little boy. I need y'all to see this part, because this is what I think is going to get him in the biggest trouble. So this little nincompoop, I'm going to put it up bigger so you can see it, literally had the audacity to post "when you're wanted by the feds" and then runs. So the other issue here is that it's then alleged that after this happened, he fled to Dubai. Now, as an attorney, I take issue with that description. Here's why. This happened November 23rd. He went to Dubai December 9th and had been talking about wanting to move to Dubai. Correction. He flew first to Qatar and then went from Qatar to Dubai. If you're fleeing, you're not going to flee. Like, you do that immediately after you've done something you thought was wrong. So that would have been November 20, the next day, November 24th, 25th, 2 weeks later. That's not fleeing. That's probably just him continuing to do what he was doing, because the arrest, the charges were not filed until Christmas Eve. So when he went to Dubai, he didn't even know anyone was looking for him. So I think that's an unfair characterization to say that he fled, but I do think he's stupid. Here's why. This literally says "when you're wanted by the feds." Listen, you little stupid. You little stupid. And this is him on Twitter. He says, addressing the allegations, "I'll kidnap my kids that I haven't been able to see since last year before I kidnapped two white girls that was trying to set me up and get me, I guess, unalived, SMH. I'm painted as a criminal over in the US right now. I'm sorry, man, but this ish is funny as hell. It never been so fun being a criminal when the ish is false. I'm enjoying this just like y'all." He seemingly debunks the accusations that he fled to Dubai. "They said I was on the run, but I posted that I'm moving to Dubai November 11th. This accusation helping on the..." What did I say? What did I say? See, this is why I'm your legal bestie. This is why I'm your legal bestie. It looks like Houston's lying on my name. Dubai, here I come. And then he says, "To be honest, I actually said it November 2nd. Something fishy about this case. Looks like they're all setting me up at this point. I see what's going on. Trip to Dubai just to surprise someone." And then this is another post. He says, "Well, guys, looks like I'm being locked up for accusations that are not true at all. I guess this is what everyone wanted to see. The system is crazy." I don't know why he's posting this. "The system is crazy. I'll see you soon. I'm going to keep fighting." Him, his bag, and I guess this is him about to check himself in. You're going to get, look. If he was my client, take that ish down. Because number one, boy, you about to get your butt beat in Harris County jail. Because you think you know every gosh darn thing. Somebody's going to show it to you in your bottom. Heading to the US, I'm vlogging this whole journey. This is when he's returning to the US. So he has come back to the US. He's come back, but somebody said, "What's the reward?" Like, that's a great question. A reward. I don't think there's a reward on him, because these accusations are so crazy. Like, he's not that wanted. So they can use all this against him. That's why I'm saying, if this boy goes to jail, it's probably because he's stupid. It's probably so to summarize, the evidence they believe that they have against him are screenshots of these young ladies' app showing that he's driving them everywhere but home. Let me tell you something. These people clearly ain't got no jobs, because they have a date. They set up a date to go work out at 10 a.m. They ain't got no jobs. They ain't got nothing to do. So for all we know, they're like, okay, we're gonna meet up with this person. We're going in this direction. Oh no, we're not gonna go there. Day night at home, or we change up the planner. Whatever. The fact that he's driving erratically and driving everywhere does not rise to kidnapping. They're gonna need more facts. And I want to know what's in the background of these girls. I don't know anything about them. I got their name. We got their names now. We could he better get his Diddy oil ready for jail. But I hate seeing young people go to jail for being stupid, but I think this is about to be a prime example of one of them, because these posts aren't now, because he has such a large following. I know that this is content for him, and Lord knows he's going to need this money for an attorney, because a retainer for something like this is going to be like a good lawyer around 50,000, 25 to 50,000, 25 to 50,000. And just FYI, lawyers take these cases on flat rate. It could be a flat rate to get them a plea, and then another rate if they're going to go all the way to trial. So he better get, yeah. They said her dad is a doctor. That doesn't mean she's not a stripper. That doesn't mean she's not an OnlyFans girl. I would believe her dad's a doctor. They're not white. They're other, but it's still all of this. She lost me. I'm sorry. They lost me, and I tapped him on the shoulder to say, "Can I sit in the back with my homegirl? I need you to make me move." I'm not tapping nobody with a gun. And why would I ask somebody with a gun, "Can I sit in the back seat?" That actually might be strategy. I don't know what kind of car it was. It could be strategy so that both of them could jump out at the same time. That actually might be smart. It sounds crazy, but it is known that Corey has done something similar to the mother of his children, so I'm not surprised. Well, yes, I pulled up his record, and I did see he's also charged with, let's see if I timed out. I did time. Unlawful carrying of a handgun in a motor vehicle. Now, that's weird. That makes me wonder if he's a felon, simply because, let me see. I'm pulling it up right now, actually. Complaint dismissed. General condition. Charging instrument. Okay, let me see what he was charged with this other time. Defendant unlawfully and intentionally. Let me see if can y'all see this? Yeah, okay. It's small, I know. But it says that he where'd it go? Yeah, it says that he did unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly carry on this person a handgun in a motor vehicle owned by the defendant, and the defendant was engaged in criminal activity other than a Class C misdemeanor. That is a violation. Oh, possession of marijuana. I was about to say that. Oh, he was probably okay. You can have a gun in your car. You can't have a gun and drugs. And so, okay, that's what he was in trouble for previously. Y'all know I'll be pulling up people's records and stuff. I'm not sure will. Sure will. So yeah, so this was a date, Kenny. It did start. It's such a weird story. None of it's believable on both sides. I think he's probably an annoying person, and I think that there was something going on with the girls, especially with the whole, like, his buddies and started to get suspicious and all this other stuff. It's just odd to me that the girls would want to get back into a car with a guy that they already felt was acting erratic. That's sketchy on all sides. It was a date. It was a ghetto date. It was a hood rat date. The date started at 10 a.m. that day. This is how you know ain't nobody got no job. Hold on. This is how you know ain't nobody got no job. The date started at 10 a.m. because they were working out. Then after that, they decided to ride ATVs. And then after that, they decided to go bowling. I don't know what day of the week it was. It was November 23rd. All right. And now to the topic of the hour. Let me pull this down. Topic of the hour. Hold on. Let's get on over it. All right. So next on the docket is the story of Twitch Boss. His last name is Boss, but Twitch and his wife, Allison Holker. And this has been heating up the internet because some people are very concerned about her. And now allegations have even begun to arise to wonder if perhaps maybe this wasn't actually an unaliving in itself. Maybe there's something more suspicious going on here. Before I hop on into it, though, I want to remind you guys, you can always book a consultation with me. You can go to SimoneRedwine.com. You can get my book here, Background Checks 101. I teach you how to do things just like how I just pulled up the guy Corey Pritchard, the YouTuber's record and his court records. I teach you how to do that in Background Checks 101, my ebook, which is only $19.99. You can also go to my website, SimoneRedwine.com, and click Book or Hire Simone. And here you can schedule a consultation starting at only $149 for 30 minutes. All right, now let's get back to it. The Twitch saga. This was really sad. So here we are. So if you're familiar with Twitch, Twitch was Ellen DeGeneres, one of her very good friends, and he was a dancer on the show. He was on So You Think You Can Dance and other shows, and he brought so much joy to the Ellen DeGeneres show. Well, in 2022, he allegedly unalived himself, and his wife, Allison, who's photoed here, had decided that she would write a memoir telling all his secrets. And in it, she sat down with people and told all his business. She told everyone that he was a drug addict, that he was addicted to drugs, according to her, and that she believes that's why he unalived himself. Now, mind you, they have 2 young children together under the ages of 10. And then the woman has a stepdaughter, an older daughter that would be Twitch's stepson. Now, some of the very strange things that she's done, I'm going to read her statement. Some of the other strange things that she's done is they said 2 days after he passed, she stopped going by his last name, which is Boss. Those are still your kid's last name. Now she wants to go by her ugly name, which is Holker. It's ugly. Sorry, if my last name could be Boss, like, well, mine's Redwine. I love it. But like, she decided to no longer go by his name. And the big kicker for me was when his family notified or released that she actually made his mother sign an NDA to attend his funeral. Made his entire family. No, we know that his family had to sign an NDA, but it's not clear if she made others. His family had to sign an NDA. I'm going to read some statements on that and some commentary. And then I want to close with explaining to you guys, joke's on you, Allison, because that NDA likely isn't valid at all. And we'll talk about the legal reasons why. Now, to start off, she wants to clear the air now that she sat down with People magazine. And this book she's going to be profiting off of. And she says she's made this statement. It says, to the fans of Stephen and our family and friends, I want to be clear. My only intention in writing the book is to share my own story, as well as part of the life with Stephen to help other people. Just like you, I never really knew what happened. And even as I am trying to put the pieces together, I'll never really know. If you decide to read the book, i.e., buy the book, hopefully you'll see my intention is to celebrate the love and life I shared with Stephen and our 3 beautiful children. The 3 beautiful children that you no longer share a name with because you decided you don't want to go by Boss anymore. And also our 3 beautiful children, and also the more complex aspects of both of our lives. I hope that by sharing our full story, maybe I can help someone else who might see themselves or a loved one in Stephen. In sharing, I hope that maybe they can catch some of the red flags that I missed before it's too late. Over the course of the last 2 years, I've spoken in detail with NAMI, which is a nonprofit, as well as the Solomon family and the Defensive Line Foundation to better educate myself on mental health issues so that I can share warning signs with others. All of the proceeds from this book are going to fund mental health focused foundation I started in Stephen's honor, Move with Kindness. My hope is that we don't need to lose another husband, brother, or father, or friend to unaliving. I believe that if Stephen were able to choose, he would choose to have his story told if it meant saving even one life. Much love to all those who have supported our family over the years. Now, I'll say this. I think talking about signs that in retrospect you feel like you missed but could have picked up on, I think that's admirable. I think that should be done. But the way now the details that are being revealed of the way in which she's gone about this whole thing has everyone side-eyeing her. And this is her responding to some of accusations that she has disgraced Stephen with what she's doing. Now, this person, Energize You, is actually a close family friend of theirs. And she said, this whole thing made me sad. He's gone. Why tear apart his name? I was fully supportive about you moving in and being happy, or probably moving on and being happy. But this paycheck was not worth disgracing his name. She writes, I'll always love you. Just trying to help people feel safe to ask for help and support. Her friend wrote back, I love you too. It's so hard to hear, and I imagine it can't be easy going through what you've been through. There will be a lot of hate thrown your way, but it's not for me to judge such a difficult situation. It's just so hard to digest. Yeah. Now, this is
friends, and we were cleaning out the closet and picking out an outfit for him for the funeral. And it was a really triggering moment for me because there was a lot of things I discovered in our closet that I did not know existed. And it was very alarming to me to learn that there was so much happening that I had no clue. So it was a really scary moment in my life to figure that out. But it also helped me process that he was going through so much and he was hiding so much. And there must have been a lot of shame in that. And he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone, because he loved everyone so much. He didn't want other people to take on his pain. But it was very alarming and scary to find those things and have never known. A moment, I was with one of my really dear friends, and we were cleaning out the closet.
All right, that's enough for her. Yeah, I'm reading the comments. Great point, Danielle. No one knew her until his death, and now she's behaving as if his death was her come up. Lara Livingston says she's trying to full on destroy his legacy and promote herself off the back of his life. I love this comment, Scorpion Stinger. It says the things she's sharing were not necessary to achieve what she claims is her intention. And I think that's why people are upset. That's why people are upset. In addition, his autopsy, so she claims he's a drug addict. Well, his autopsy listed no drugs in his system at all. So his family is livid with that. I'm pulling that up now. His family is livid with that. How are you have a drug addict with no drugs in their system? I'm going to tell you, number one thing that a drug addict would have in their system is drugs. Also, if a drug addict were about to unalive themselves, you best believe they'd be high as a kite, baby. High as a kite. Also, we're going to, here, let me move this tab. His brother was hot, baby. His brother was hot. So this is a post his brother, Manny Cross, has posted. He said, Dear Allison, you have lied for the last time on my brother. He was absolutely no addict. I'm going to make sure it's on the screen. You can see it. Okay. I know it's small, but he was absolutely no addict. You will say and do anything for $1. An addict? You are the one that was messing with Coke, Molly, and X. I believe it. I have all the proof. Play with somebody safe. Country boy right here. I don't give a F. Every person who knew him knows you're lying and have been doing dirty crap for a long time. Should I post our last conversation? Try me. You have no idea what I have to post. Here's a few questions I have for you, though. Let me see if I can make this bigger. He says, why did you make my mom sign an NDA to see her son's body? Why did his closest friends and family have to sign an NDA to attend his funeral? Why did you lie at the funeral about how every day was magical? It wasn't. He told me everything. You had to try and demonize Nelson, and now I see why. I don't know who Nelson is. You demonize anyone in his life that found out the truth about you. You will say his friends aren't his friends. You will discredit anyone that knows the truth. You are a toxic woman, and I truly believe he would still be alive had he not married you. My only regret is telling him to work on it with you for the sake of the kids. When he talked to me about leaving you, I knew it. I knew it. I just didn't know the full truth, just like everyone that supports you. We were both in the same situation, married to toxic narcissists that loved Black men as a fetish, that will lie and cry wolf and twist narratives and so called evidence to be a victim and make a dollar. We didn't have our dads the way we wanted, so we persevered through the bull to be the best fathers that we could. Today is the last day that you do this. I was contacted about a TV show last year, and after sending their condolences about me losing Stephen, guess what the producer said about you? The same thing all of them said about you. You're a money hungry, lying narcissist that will play victim and say and do anything for a dollar. Last question. Wasn't it your pow pow that was used? Ciao, ciao, ciao. Keep playing with my brother's name. This is a year of the truth. Everything is offline. Nothing is off limits. ADHD, ADHD, forever. Oh, somebody forever. Wasn't it your pow pow that was used? I'll tell you this. I don't know anyone happily married that's unalived themselves. I don't know. I don't know. I know multiple people who have. I don't know a one with a supportive wife who's there for them and supports them and makes life easier. Who does that? So I'm lending a lot of credence to what the family is saying. Yep, Lisa Love said, I knew he wanted a divorce. She's a witch and a killer. They only love black. Ooh, they love black men. Ooh, my goodness. We like everybody over here, okay? If you're Caucasian and you're watching this, you're my cousin too, and in the eyes of the Lord. Now, if you marry a white woman whose family is racist and their anti-blackness will eventually seep out. Ooh, well, that's true. I also wish Ellen would speak out on his behalf. Ellen can't say nothing about anything right now because people are still mad at her for the way she treated people allegedly on the set. Crazy part is she was keeping his family away from the grandkids and still are. So let's talk about that. I think what inflamed me the most was hearing about how since then she's kept the kids away and how she's mistreated his friends and family and made people sign NDA. So we're going to get legal with it. Pull up your drink, pull up your chair, and let's be really clear. So here very clearly, here's why that NDA that she made people sign, that she made his mother sign to view his body, and his family and friends sign to attend the funeral is probably null and void. And if you've received one, feel free for free. I will review it for you. Send it on over to my DMs. Email me, attorney Simone with a Y at Gmail. I'll review it for you and I'll give you my personal stuff because you are more than welcome. If I had that, I'd go to the media with it because since she wants to go to media with everything, let's start there. So in order to have a valid NDA, there's a number of things that you have to have, but we're going to focus on the four main things that are relevant here. So one of the things is that it has to have a reasonable duration. So keep something confidential for a reasonable amount of time. We don't know here what the duration was, but chances are she probably said forever or something like that, but a reasonable duration. Doubtful that that was here. Second, there has to be something called offer and acceptance. So one person, the person offers to keep information confidential and the other person agrees to, give you the confidential information. Okay. So that would be, for example, his mom is agreeing to keep things confidential by signing it. But the other thing you have to have is actual confidential information. And here's what confidential information, see, the NDA must specifically define what constitutes confidential information. You don't have to just go to a Google or something. They have to define it in the NDA, what it is that's confidential and what it is you're going to be receiving. Vague or overly broad definitions render the agreement unenforceable. In addition, the information must be clearly identified as confidential, whether it's proprietary data, usually it's data, business strategies, this kind of thing. And it has to be it can't be information that you can obtain from other sources or on your own. So for example, By virtue of attending a funeral, what goes on in there is not confidential. Funerals are public events. Now, if at the funeral they would have said, for example, he had a drug addiction, that could be considered confidential information. But it ain't no more because Miss Thing just sat down and told the whole world in a book. So even if something was confidential on that day of the funeral, but that she later made it public, NDA null and void. NDA null and void. There was nothing confidential that was obtained there. Now, they could say things, for example, like don't take pictures. No problem. No one would be upset about that. His family, his friends. Some people may say, well, I want to take a photo to remember. That's fine. But it's weird. It's weird. Taking pictures of dead people at a funeral is kind of weird. That's the kind of thing that you can ask for. And I don't think in the comments, if you went to a funeral and someone said, hey, we're going to ask that you don't take any photos of the body, that you don't take any photos, at the graveside, something like that, would you be opposed to that? I wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, no problem. And then the last thing that I believe did not exist here that would make this NDA invalid is you have to offer consideration. What is consideration? Consideration is something of value. It could be money. So that's how come usually if you sign an NDA or a separation agreement when you're leaving a company, they have to also give you money. They cannot withhold your last paycheck to force you to sign an NDA. No, they have to give you something you didn't already earn. And as a result, what is the consideration? The ability to attend in itself a funeral is not consideration. First of all, a funeral is free. A funeral is free. And second of all, there is this loophole, not loophole, but there is a rarely used but often applicable term in the law that says that some rule can have an exception. This is an exception when something is void for public policy. And what that means is that if there's a law that traditionally, hey, this is how it would work, but that it's against the way in which American society like the proper way to operate, the moral way, then a judge would set aside the traditional way. Now, void for public policy, here's the best example, and I've given it before in the channel. There was literally a case where this dad hated his son-in-law. He tells his daughter, if you divorce him, I'll give you $100,000. She divorces the guy because she wants the money. But her dad ends up not giving her the money. She takes the dad to court, and the court says, hey, we can't hear this because that type of agreement, an agreement to divorce somebody in exchange for money, is void for public policy. It's just a bad policy to have in our society. Similarly here, I believe a court would find it is a bad policy to force mothers and relatives to sign NDAs to see their dead babies. It just won't fly. Not to mention the fact that there's no consideration. Did you pay anybody? Did you say, I'll give you this amount of money to sign this NDA to see your dead baby? No. Why? Because that would be weird. And so the hell is this. So in the end, this NDA is null and void. It sounds like this death is a lot more suspicious than we initially thought. And my condolences go to the family of Twitch, the true family of Twitch, not this woman who is acting in such a way that we can only question her moral turpitude as well as her behavior. And let's hope that these babies get to see their grandparents, their cousins, their Black side of the family sometime soon, and that negative things aren't being told to them about that, because we all know when that happens, it makes you not love that side of who you are. Now, I'm going to read a few comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and if you have any final questions. I just wanted to make sure that the viewers understand if somebody ever tells you you have to sign an NDA to see your dead baby, call me and rip that bitch up. Rip it up. Go ahead, sign it. See your baby. Take your little copy of it on your phone because you may have to sue that person later. Yeah, somebody said, I hope she makes millions off this. Liz, it's only going to go one way or the other. Either a lot of people are going to buy that book or not a lot of people are going to buy that book, or people may go on Amazon and literally give that sucker 1 star. You know how people were upset about that fake book that called itself being Kim Porter's last words. People went and gave that a 1 star. Amazon pulled that bad boy so far. So for the people that are upset about this, I'm not saying you should, but what I am saying is that on Amazon and places like that, Amazon's the number one place to get books now, that the people talk. And when people go to Amazon and say, this ain't right, Amazon listens. Right. She be sharing the confidential information. Yeah. So, hold up. Big short. Really what it sounds like here is it sounds like the reason she may have wanted that NDA is so that she could write her book. Because if everybody went out telling their story before she got her chance to, she couldn't have got that $1 million book deal. Because I believe that people who sign it, see, those people didn't have a lawyer look over. There was no time for that. So all those people who signed that NDA probably believed that they couldn't talk about certain things and didn't. We haven't heard from any of his family prior to this. Not a one. And you heard his brother say a production company reached out to him about telling the story. And we don't know what happened, but to my knowledge, it appears the story was not told. But it sounds like they needed her, the wife, to be a part of the story. And she probably said, no, I got my $1 million deal. I'm going to tell it my way after I get my million. Somebody said, I thought funerals were private events. Well, here's the problem. They're placed. Funerals are in obituaries, which are generally in digital media and online. And no, they're considered public events because you don't need an invitation to attend a funeral. So no, they're actually public events. That's why they're in the newspaper. Somebody said nobody's buying anything after. It says Allison is so wrong from keeping the kids away from Twitch's parents and other family members. Why would the family have to sign an NDA? How evil. Yeah. If there's anything grandparents need after the passing of their son, is those grandbabies. That is the lifeline to their child. Yeah, I feel like pictures of these are disrespectful. Well, that was, yeah, every culture is like a little different. But I say that to say, like, as an example, like, that's something nobody would do. So if that's your concern, that's that. But there's nothing that's said at a funeral that's private information, right? Every funeral I've ever been to, you have people go to the mic, share stories they share stories that help other people grieve. It's about a community getting together. So why would you not want anyone to share these happy stories of how they have remembered Twitch? Literally? What kind of weirdo are you? Yeah, she says MD says she better remember the kids grow up. Family and Dan's community took this so hard. He was always giving back to the children. She never seemed sad after his death. Did she cry in the interview? Oh, good question. Sounds like it would be signed under extreme duress, so the NDA could be null and void. Great point, MS. Absolutely. I hope the family blocks the book. Yeah, it could act. That is a great form of arguable duress. Is that, yeah, I wouldn't even be thinking straight. I wouldn't be thinking straight at that point. This whole situation is just heartbreaking. She's an opportunist. Girl, I can cry on demand, so that means nothing as far as whether she cried. She said the money's going to a charity. Yes, a charity she's going to run. Let me tell you something. Do y'all know that at one point, the president of the charity, Susan G. Komen Foundation, made $750,000 per year? So anything can be a charity. That doesn't mean you're not profiting from the charity. It doesn't mean you're not earning money. I know the charity itself has to use all their funds, but you keeping the money for a charity, like $1 million charity, and paying yourself $1 million, that doesn't mean nothing. We're not stupid. I love how the cousin said F her NDA. Oh, yeah, let me put that up. This is no, here we go. Well, which one is this? Yes, this was the cousin. Let me share this tab. So the cousin was not here for it. The cousin said she doesn't give a F about the NDA. Good job, Big L. She said, this crazy woman made me and his actual family sign an NDA just to even attend the funeral. She's been trying to tarnish his legacy and refuses to let the Boss family see the children, only to exploit and lie on him. Hell no, she said, including his mother. As in, the mom couldn't see him without signing the NDA. I'm so tired of keeping my mouth shut, bro. You did our family so dirty. Someone says, it sounds like you should be documenting a YouTube and TikTok to make money and document this. So I don't need to make money off this. Money doesn't move me at all. I love that. Thank you. This is about what's right. And I don't feel she is being right. Correct. And then here are just some few comments. I'll close with these. Where people were giving their thoughts as users and viewers speculate on his passing. It says, the Twitch story doesn't sound like an unaliving no more. Fiercely Fixated said, they said she hired a defense attorney when he passed. She changed her name 2 days after he died and cleaned out his closet fast when looking for a suit for the funeral. Now, cleaning out the closet, I'm gonna tell you that's a little different. Because I've seen where like my mom would go in for family members and do it for them when they're ready. Some people want it done faster, some people don't. They want to take their time with it. But hiring a defense attorney, NDAs as people walk into the funeral is crazy. His side of the family in particular. How does someone have a drug addiction but their autopsy was clean? Wait until you find out who the pow was registered to. It was her. Okay, I thought I was crazy because that report never made sense to me. The one that said of how he passed. It says the way she's talking, I don't think she ever loved him. Well, agreed. And remember, shortly after his death, a psychic lady said everything will eventually hit the fan, and this lady will be at the forefront. Well. And on that note, guys, thanks for joining another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? I'm going to be taking this Twitch segment and I'm going to repost it. So if you guys are like, we already saw this, this is why. I want to make sure people understand an NDA at a funeral is likely null and void. Hope y'all have a great evening.